Okay, shading the face. So I asked you to leave both your final one and your practice drawing mostly a line drawing. And we haven't really talked much about shading. I've mentioned it. But we're going to practice first. So what I'd like you to do is take out your practice drawing of a portrait. It should have portrait practice up here with your name. I don't have that on mine, but I can put it up here. And then your name and everything. And we're going to turn it to the back. We're going to use the back of this. So on the back, we're going to do a little bit of practice. So you're going to be able to see what your pencil can do. There, you can see a little better. So first thing I'd like you to do is we're going to do it's called a value scale. Values means lightness and darkness of a color. And we're going to do that with our pencil. So you just draw a box down here and number it 1 through 10. And by the 1, I want you to work with your pencil to see what's the darkest dark you can get. And then when we get to the 2 here, I'm just going to go a little bit lighter, a little bit, not much. And then for the 3, a little lighter yet. And the 4. And here I'm just experimenting with, and each time I'm just a little less pressure. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you should barely be able to see, and 10, it fades to the white of the page. And that'll give you a sense of all the shades of gray you can get with your pencil. Then before we go to shading the face, we're going to try one more practice. So I'll pause this while you try a value scale. Next, we're going to try shading a circle. So I'll go ahead and draw, doesn't have to be a perfect circle, but a circle of some sort. Notice how I'm letting my arm do the work. I don't draw with my wrist like that because I can't do that. It doesn't end up being as good of a circle. Then we're going to decide that the light's coming from one direction, and that'll help us decide on the shadow. So let's have the light come in. So we're going to either be this corner or that corner. We're used to light coming in from slightly overhead, not directly above. Okay, opposite here is going to be our darkest darks. So now to make this look curved, we don't want to go straight up and down. You want your shadow to curve the direction that you want to give the feeling that this is curved, a sphere. So I'm curving my shadow. Notice how I'm holding my pencil in a different way. I'm not holding my pencil like this anymore. I'm holding my pencil, and that's a technique for drawing. I'm not going to quite the edge, but I'm coming close, and I'm creating my darkest dark curve like that. Then I know that this edge, as it curves away, is just going to be a little bit lighter. And I can bring that right here, although I know that the lightest point's going to be right there. So I can even just kind of loosely map that out. And then what I'm going to do is basically what I did down here. So it's going to be a little darker. I'm going to keep it curving. And I'm sorry, not a little darker, a little lighter yet. Just like my value scale, a little lighter. And I'm always working towards this, which is going to be my white. Now I'm trying to get it to curve this way and then this way. So you notice I'm going back and forth. Now I'm going to introduce the tool that should help you a little bit with this. It's called a blending stump. And I can use that And it's going to pick up some of the graphite on here, and it's going to help get rid of some of those marks. And I can soften it up. Now notice how I'm holding this just the same way I was holding my pencil. I'm not pushing down on the point. I'm going to let the graphite that's in here work for me. And I want to keep this part the lightest light. So I don't want to get graphite in there. If I make a mistake and get graphite in there, I could always use an eraser. And I might need to do that if I get too much. You know, so hopefully everyone at this point has brought an eraser. You know, so there I kind of cleaned that up, but then I want to come back here and soften up. I don't want a hard edge there. The thing about shadow is gradual. So you see how that blending stump, for me, you know, would have helped if this hard edge there, I think, would be better. I blend that in a little bit. Then the other thing that will help this look 3D would be a cast shadow. So we know that on the other side of this, there would be a shadow that would be cast on the ground. And if you want to, I mean, one thing that helps this illusion is for a better circle. So if you want to, I have some rolls of masking tape you could use to draw a circle if you want, or I have some containers. But we're really just practicing and getting a feeling for what shading's like. You think about, all right, the light comes in, hits this, and this blocks it. So my shadow is going to end up somehow over here, depending on what angle. If it's coming in a little more like this, my shadow gets here. So see, I can kind of calculate my shadow. So let's go for the one that's a little higher up here. And that shadow is the darkest dark. Kind of curved because this is curved. And again, I can blend with the blending stuff. So I will let you try that out, and then you're going to be practicing shading on the face. So I will pause this while you try blending a circle to make it look like a sphere. Okay, and I'm going to blend on one. I'm going to use this one because I'm part way there already. So with the human face, again, we have the light coming in. I'm going to have my light coming in from here, which means that over here, the hair is going to be lighter. The face is going to be a little lighter. The tip, this side of the nose, chin, and the hair is going to be darker here. We're going to have more shadow over here. So I start out with some shadow on this side of the nose. So the light's coming in from there. I'm using that same technique of how I'm holding my pencil. I'm creating a shadow that goes from under the eyebrow, the eye socket there, to the tip of the nose. Kind of down around this nostril here. And then I can take my blending stump and I can soften it up. Now, you get too much, you can use an eraser. Another thing about shadow, black and white drawings, is if you want to have, before you even start doing shadow and highlight, if you want overall a skin tone that's a little darker, then you would just lightly shade the whole entire face. So the whole entire face, and you can even take your blending stump to do that, could get, so if I wanted this overall, the skin to look darker. I could do an overall toning of the face like that. So see how I'm putting a little bit of gray, and I'm not even using a pencil right now. I just happen to have quite a bit of graphite. So I'm going to show you this with a little darker skin tone. And of course the neck. And the ears if they show. And the same goes for the hair. If you want a darker colored hair, we'll work with the skin for now. I'll get to the hair. Well, so there. I'm going to give this face a little darker skin tone. Now on top of this, I'm going to decide where my shadows are. So I can do that same shadow right here. Now if I want to highlight, now I'm going to be using my eraser. So I'm going to pull up a highlight on the other side of the nose and soften that up a bit. You know, and I'm resorting to my finger because I have so much graphite on the blending stump. That's okay. You can use your finger too to blend. You can come in here and make some things darker yet, like the crease in the eye. You can define it. And here I've switched the grip, my grip on the pencil. So I've made some of these. Now this eye socket would get a little bit of shading too. Not as much because my light's coming in from over here. And then I want a little bit of a highlight on this cheekbone. So because I gave this face overall just a little darker coloring, I'm going to lighten it up with my eraser. That's why it's really important you bring an eraser in. I can put a little shadow there. A little shadow here. Certainly more shadow over here where it's farther away. Remember our sphere? So we want to create a darker shadow over there. Well, now I'm completely not using my blending stump. Face would be very dark underneath the chin over here and on this side of the neck. And you can blend that. So that helps differentiate the difference between the neck and the face. Now, the harder thing about obviously a face is different than a sphere in that there are more angles to a face. You probably have quite a bit of darkness in the hair here. And I'll work more with the hair in a little bit. Now if you have a lighter skin tone, you may not want to shade so much to begin with. Keep it a little lighter in general, because in black and white, shades of gray define color. So I'm lightening up a few things with my eraser. That would be the lightest. Now the mouth is darker than the skin usually. So I'm going to shade here. Now again, my light's coming from here, so I'm going to keep my shadows a little bit more on that side. A highlight on the lower lip and the upper lip there. And soften that up. Put a little bit of a shadow there. So you can feel like there's a, that didn't work very well. You feel like there's a chin bone there. I'm going to pop this out a little bit so you can really see that edge. And those are the main shadows. So when you have a light coming in, it's lighter here, probably a little bit lighter here. And be careful, now I'm dragging my hand through this. You can put a piece of paper under your hand or a paper towel or something, and you won't have as much trouble dragging graphite all over. Now, hair. same deal, like I think about where it's going to be the darkest. And I'm going to get those spots first. So I think, where's the light going to hit it the least? And then darker hair, of course, will be shaded just darker in general. Just going to do a medium. Now, I'm holding my pencil that sideways grip again. Now, I know the hair is going to be lighter up here, so I'm not going to do much with shading because I want it to have a nice highlight there. And here, we're just practicing on this one. This isn't our final, so you're getting a feel for what this is like. Then I'm going to use my blending stump, moving some of that graphite through, softening it up. And trying to go the direction the hair would grow, or direction it hangs, whatever. And then the shirt itself, too, that gray is going to define color. So whatever you end up doing with that. And then you can really just start perfecting it. And this is where you're learning about what shading does. Like I come in here with the eyes. Now I'm not ever using the very tip of the blending stump because that'll smash it down and it won't work well. But I can use it, I'm always using it slightly at an angle. And I kind of trade off between that and my pencil. There are times where I have so much graphite on the blending stump. And if you like, these really do nice things for pencil drawings. If you enjoy using one, they sell them at, they're really quite inexpensive, and they sell them at like Blick Art Supply or any art supply store. I believe they have them over, I saw them at Joann Craft and Fabric when I was over there last. I saw them there, and they're nice, and they come in different sizes. And then the other thing I'll do is I'll come in, oops, and I'll make sure I really can see, like she had an earring on here. You know, maybe pull some hair in there, maybe fix the eyelashes. So here you are just experimenting around with shading the human face. So on one side of this you have your drawing shaded, the other side of it you've done this practice shading. And then once you feel some comfort level with shading and you've learned some things about, whoops, and hopefully that won't happen to you, then go ahead and work on your final, your self-portrait, keeping in mind what you've learned. If you don't like using the blending stump, you can also use your fingers. I do sometimes. Get a little more control with this. You can also use a tissue. So those things all work. Okay, so give it a shot. See how it goes for you, and I will come around and give you some advice.